The chilly November air clung to the small Italian town of Brambada Dopra like a persistent whisper filled with secrets and shadows. As dusk descended, painting the sky in hues of deep indigo and burnt amber, 13-year-old Yara Gambarasio bid a quick, unsuspecting farewell to her parents. Her destination was the familiar gym, a mere few hundred yards away, a place she frequented with the assuredness of routine and the comfort of habit. But that evening, the ordinary path home twisted into a treacherous journey marked by the sinister unknown, transforming Brambada Dopra from a haven of serene cobblestone streets and ancient, ivy-clad buildings into the epicenter of a sprawling mystery. As street lamps flickered to life, casting long, eerie shadows across the pavement, an unsettling tension gripped the tight-knit community. It was the beginning of a nightmare etched into the fabric of their lives, a puzzle wrapped in dark alleys and fleeting whispers that would soon unravel in ways no one could foresee, pulling them into the depths of a case that defied the very essence of their tranquil existence. As the evening descended upon Brambada Dopra, a small town nestled in the embrace of Italy's picturesque countryside, an unsettling aura blanketed the quiet streets. The rustic charm that wrapped around the cobblestone pathways and ivy-strewn facades of ancient buildings seemed to waver under the strain of an invisible weight. The clock ticked past 7 p.m., and with each passing minute, the tranquil rhythm of life here was replaced by the anxious thrum of worry. Yara Gambarasio, a lively 13-year-old with a spark of youthful energy, had not returned home from her brief visit to the gym. Yara was a familiar face in the neighborhood, often seen darting through the streets, her backpack bouncing with every enthusiastic step, a lively testament to the innocence of youth. The route she took stretched a mere few hundred yards, a path she could navigate with her eyes closed. It was as familiar as the comforting aroma of fresh pasta wafting through open kitchen windows or the gentle hum of Vespa scooters ambling along the narrow streets. But that evening, the path from the gym to her home twisted into an enigma, swallowed by the shadows that lengthened with the setting sun. As twilight deepened into night, street lamps flickered on, casting pools of light that failed to penetrate the unease gripping the community. Yara's parents, laden with worry, paced their cozy living room, their hearts heavy with the fear that only a parent can truly understand. Every creak of the floorboards or rustle outside the window was met with a pause, a hope that it might be the sound of Yara's return. But the minutes stretched into an eternity, and the silence grew denser, more oppressive. By 7:11 p.m., the Gambaracio's concern had crystallized into a palpable dread. A call to Yara's cell went unanswered, the line leading to an empty voicemail that seemed to echo back their deepest fears. The familiar routine of their evening shattered like a delicate glass dropped onto stone. They reached out to the local police, their voices tinged with desperation, and the small-town force responded with urgency. Their own sense of duty mingled with a personal commitment to the family they knew well. As the search for Yara unfurled, the town's serene facade gave way to a flurry of activity. The streets, once echoing only with the gentle clinking of glasses and murmur of evening conversations, now thrummed with the sounds of police radios and the purposeful stride of officers combing the area. The community, tight-knit and protective, joined in the search, their flashlights casting beams of hope into the darkened corners of the town and beyond. Inside the police station, the atmosphere was charged with a mix of determination and uncertainty. Leisha Ruggieri, the experienced agent leading the investigation, could feel the weight of the moment pressing down upon her shoulders. She was no stranger to the complexities of such cases, yet the stakes felt higher, the urgency more acute. The disappearance of a child, especially one from such a peaceful enclave, was a violation that cut deep into the fabric of their shared lives. Teams were dispatched to retrace Yara's steps, their eyes scanning for any hint or whisper of a trail she might have left behind. They canvassed the gym, spoke to her peers, absorbed every detail of her last known movements with the precision of a detective laying out the pieces of a puzzle. The last known message from Yara, A simple text to a friend at 6:44 p.m. was time-stamped in her file, a fleeting digital footprint that whispered of her existence before she vanished into the ether. Outside, the cold night air carried the scent of distant rain, and as the hours dragged on, hope that started as a bright beacon began to waver, threatened by the encroaching shadows of doubt. A community that once rested under the comforting blanket of safety now found itself grappling with the unknown, their thoughts spiraling into the dark possibilities that lay hidden within the folds of the night. Yet, beneath the uncertainty, there lingered a flicker of shared resolve, a steadfast belief that Yara would be found, that the darkness would yield to the light of truth, and that the town of Brambada Dopra would awaken to the sound of Yara's laughter once more. The night was quiet in Brambada Dopra, a small town that rarely saw much excitement, let alone tragedy. It was a town nestled amid the gentle hills and verdant landscapes that seemed to promise tranquility. Here, among the cobblestone streets and the whisper of history in every ancient building, Yara Gambarasio grew up, surrounded by familiar faces and the comforting rhythms of small-town life. Her disappearance shattered this delicate peace, leaving a community searching for answers in the shadows of its own streets. As the days turned into a week, the search for Yara became a desperate endeavor that consumed the town. Her parents, once so assured of their daughter's safety in the embrace of their community, now found themselves swept into a nightmare of uncertainty. Every sound seemed an echo of her laughter, every shadow a glimpse of her small figure. Their home, once a haven of warmth and love, became a cage of unanswered questions and suffocating silence. The once comforting hum of everyday life now felt like a cruel reminder of Yara's absence. Leisha Ruggieri, the seasoned investigator tasked with finding Yara, walked the streets with a conviction fueled by both duty and empathy. Her presence was a beacon amidst the fear, her resolve a testament to the town's shared determination. As she pieced together the fragments of that fateful evening, her mind became a whirl of snippets and clues. Yara's last text, the sighting of a red car, the conflicting trails left by the dogs. Every lead, however promising, seemed to end in a cul-de-sac of frustration. The search expanded beyond Brambada Dopra, reaching into the neighboring town of Meltso. It was a place unfamiliar to Yara, yet her phone signal had inexplicably appeared there just minutes after she had last been seen. This anomaly gnawed at Leisha, suggesting a puzzle with pieces that refused to fit together. It was as if the landscape itself conspired to hide the truth, the fields and rivers weaving a tapestry of mystery that resisted unraveling. The community, once bound by the simplicity of small-town life, now found itself united by a shared anguish. Volunteers combed the countryside, their torches flickering against the encroaching night, each heartbeat echoing their silent mantra, "Find Yara." But as days stretched into months, hope became a fragile thing, quivering under the weight of uncertainty. The news outlets turned their gaze upon Brambada Dopra, illuminating the town's grief and fueling its determination with every broadcast. And then, just as hope seemed poised to slip into despair, the discovery of a body reignited the town's fervor. The grim find at a field 6 miles from Yara's home sent ripples of dread through the town. As Leisha stood over the remains, she felt the weight of the moment, the culmination of months of searching, the end of one journey and the beginning of another. The body was battered by time and the elements, yet the remnants of Yara's clothes spoke in silent testimony to her identity. The investigation transformed, pivoting from a search for a missing girl to a quest for justice for a life cut tragically short. As forensic experts pored over the evidence, each thread and fiber became a lifeline to the truth. The discovery of DNA, an unyielding witness to the crime, offered a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. Yet, even as science brought clarity, it also deepened the mystery. The DNA pointed to an unknown man, a phantom who haunted the edges of the investigation. Leisha pursued this ghost through the tangled web of family trees and genetic connections, seeking the truth hidden in the past. Her dedication was unwavering, and the breakthrough came from the unlikeliest of places, a familial connection, an affair long buried in secrecy. When at last the pieces fell into place and a name emerged from the shadows, the town held its collective breath. The arrest of Massimo Bettetti was both a relief and a new chapter in the saga of Yara's disappearance. The trial that followed was a spectacle of justice and emotion, a courtroom drama that captivated not only a nation but also the world. Yet, even with Bettetti behind bars, questions lingered like specters in the night. The evidence was compelling, but the threads of doubt and suspicion wove a complex tapestry that refused to be neatly tied. Yara's story, etched into the heart of Brambada Dopra, remained as much about the search for truth as it was about the enduring strength of community and the relentless pursuit of justice. In the small Italian town of Brambada Dopra, the events that unfolded around Yara Gambarasio's disappearance had left an indelible mark. The town, nestled amidst picturesque landscapes and a veneer of tranquility, had been thrust into chaos and uncertainty. The cobblestone streets that once echoed the laughter of children now carried the weight of hushed whispers and somber eyes. The community's heart, once vibrant and carefree, was now shadowed by the dark mystery that none could escape. The night Yara vanished was like any other in this quiet town, one where the warmth of family dinners wafted through the evening air and the familiar sound of church bells marked the passing hours. As dusk settled, a chill began to creep into the November night, wrapping the town in an eerie stillness that foreshadowed the storm that was to come. Yara, a spirited 13-year-old with bright eyes and an even brighter future, had left home with a promise to return shortly. But as the hours ticked by, the Gambarasio household was enveloped in a growing unease that gnawed at the edges of hope. The search for Yara was both frantic and methodical. The streets of Brambada Dopra, usually bathed in the glow of street lamps and an occasional passerby, were now overtaken by the flashing lights of police vehicles. Officers moved in orchestrated chaos, their radios crackling with updates that seemed to lead nowhere. Every shadow was scrutinized, every corner inspected, yet the town seemed to swallow up the secrets of that fateful night, refusing to yield any clues. Detective Leisha Ruggieri, a woman of steely determination and an unyielding sense of justice, spearheaded the investigation. For her, this was not merely a case, but a mission that demanded every ounce of her resolve. She was a familiar figure in Brambada Dopra, her presence commanding respect and, in these times, a flicker of hope. With each passing day, as leads dwindled and the trail grew cold, Leisha's focus only sharpened. Her instincts, honed by years of experience, told her that the answer lay somewhere in the tangled web of Yara's last known moments. Every detail was meticulously pieced together, a jigsaw puzzle of time and space. The last message from Yara, sent to a friend at 6:44 p.m., was a beacon in the dark, a timestamp that anchored the timeline of her movement. The police scoured every conceivable lead, from CCTV footage that offered only grainy, indistinct figures, to the countless interviews with neighbors who recounted their evening with varying degrees of certainty. Yet, with each dead end, Leisha's resolve only deepened. Then came the breakthrough, not through the persistence of the search, but from the unlikely corridors of genealogy and hidden family ties. The revelation unraveled like a suspenseful narrative, with each twist more unbelievable than the last. It was an affair, long buried in the annals of secrecy, that cracked the case open. The notion that Yara's fate was sealed by the indiscretions of another generation sent ripples through the investigative team. It was a reminder of the fragility of time and the unforeseen consequences of actions long past. The arrest of Massimo Bettetti was a moment of collective exhalation for the town, a tangible end to the nightmarish uncertainty. Yet, as the courtroom drama unfolded, it became clear that the story was far from over. The trial was a spectacle that played out in the public eye, a clash of evidence, emotion, and the unrelenting quest for truth. In the solemnity of the courtroom, Under the watchful gaze of both the living and the echoes of the lost, the community learned that justice is as much about the questions that remain as it is about the answers found. Brambada Dopra, once innocent in its oblivion, was forever changed. The story of Yara was woven into its fabric, a tapestry of mystery and resolution, a testament to the enduring strength of those who refuse to let the darkness prevail. As the town moved forward, it carried with it the lessons of Yara's story, a somber reminder of the unseen battles fought in the pursuit of justice, and the unwavering resilience of a community united by both heartbreak and hope. The courtroom was a hallowed arena, where the air felt thick with the weight of unsaid words and the silent screams of the past. It was as if the room had absorbed the very essence of the events it housed, retaining the echoes of despair, hope, and the relentless pursuit of truth. This was not just a trial. It was a reckoning, a purging of secrets whispered in the dark corners of Brambada Dopra, a town now entwined with the tragic tale of Yara Gambarasio. The townspeople, once ensconced in the naive safety of their small community, were now unwilling actors in this grim theater, their lives irrevocably altered by the rippling consequences of one girl's disappearance. As the trial unfolded, a sense of the surreal permeated the proceedings, an atmosphere tinged with both dread and anticipation. The courtroom buzzed with the hushed conversations of spectators, their voices weaving a tapestry of speculation and suspicion that had entwined Yara's story with the fabric of their own lives. The people of Brambada Dopra were invested in this tragedy, not just as curious onlookers, but as individuals whose understanding of their world had been shattered. They sat in their seats, clutching the remnants of their old lives, trying to piece together the fragments of a puzzle that had consumed their days and haunted their nights. In the dim light of the court, where shafts of illumination struggled against the encroaching shadows, the focus shifted to the accused, Massimo Bossetti. He sat isolated, a paradoxical figure of both menace and fragility, caught in the unyielding gaze of those who sought to understand the mind behind the crime. The lines of his face, etched by time and weathered by accusation, drew an inscrutable map of a life now defined by suspicion. Yet, beneath his hardened exterior lay a maelstrom of emotions, hidden from the world but betrayed by the slightest flicker of his eyes. Was he a man wrongfully ensnared in this web of allegations, or the shadowy presence that had stalked the night, watching, waiting for the moment to strike? The witnesses, too, played their roles in this macabre performance, stepping forward from the obscurity of their seats to offer glimpses of truth or fragments of deceit. Each testimony was a thread in the intricate tapestry of the trial, woven with care and precision by both defense and prosecution. Their words, rehearsed and yet raw with emotion, painted pictures of innocence lost and innocence preserved, of motives hidden and motives laid bare. Each recollection, each observation, became a brushstroke in an expansive canvas of doubt and revelation, leaving behind images that lingered long after their voices had faded into silence. Outside the courtroom, the town itself seemed suspended in a state of uneasy stillness, as if holding its breath in anticipation of the verdict. The once familiar streets, lined with cobblestones and flanked by whispering trees, now bore witness to the undercurrents of fear and uncertainty that flowed beneath the surface. At night, the lamplight cast long, trembling shadows that danced across the paths Yara had once walked, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary, the known into the unknown. It was as if Brambada Dopra had slipped into an alternate reality, where time had become a circular entity, looping endlessly back to that fateful evening when Yara stepped out of the gym and into the pages of history. In the heart of the town, the spirit of Yara lingered, a spectral presence that drifted through the collective consciousness of its inhabitants. She was there in the soft murmur of the river, in the rustle of leaves carried by the wind, in the gentle laughter of children who had yet to learn the harsh truths of the world. Her memory was a beacon, guiding the townspeople through the darkness, urging them to seek justice, to find closure, to reclaim the peace that had been shattered by violence and despair. As the trial drew to a close, the town braced itself for the impact of the verdict, knowing that whatever the outcome, the world would never be quite the same again. They were bound together by the threads of Yara's story, a story that had transcended the boundaries of time and space to become an indelible part of their lives. In the end, the trial was not just about determining the guilt or innocence of a man, but about confronting the mysteries that lurked in the shadows of their own hearts, and finding the courage to face the unknown with unflagging hope and resilience. The ramifications of Yara Gambarasio's tragic case extend far beyond the confines of courtrooms and the pages of investigative reports. In the heart of the quiet, sun-dappled streets of Brambada Dopra, a veil of distrust and fear settled over the community like a shroud. The town, once a bastion of safety and community spirit, now harbored a fracture, a schism in its collective heart that would take years to mend, if it ever could. The peaceful rhythm of life was disrupted, replaced by an undercurrent of unease, as if the very air had been tainted by the darkness that had snuffed out Yara's young life. The narrative pieced together by the prosecution painted a stark picture of a premeditated crime rooted in a chillingly methodical manner. Massimo Bassetti, a name now synonymous with one of Italy's most notorious cases, was unveiled as a predator hiding in plain sight. His arrest and subsequent conviction, however, did not seal the fractures. Instead, it exposed them. People questioned the efficacy of a system that had initially floundered, a labyrinth of investigations that spanned years, punctuated by false leads and relentless media scrutiny. Each misstep was a public spectacle, with the arrest of an innocent man, Mohammed Fikri, serving as a grim reminder of how quickly justice could devolve into a capricious pursuit of scapegoats. But even as Bassetti languished behind bars, the community's unease lingered. There was a pervasive fear that the true horror of the crime extended beyond a single man. The revelations during the trial of Sylvia, the gym teacher with blood on Yara's jacket, only fueled this anxiety. Her inexplicable and dismissive "I don't know" in response to how her blood came to be on Yara's clothing suggested a potential complicity, or, at the very least, a troubling negligence that hinted at the existence of shadows still lurking within their community. Moreover, the case laid bare the inadequacies of a forensic system that, despite its ultimate success, took years to identify a perpetrator who had left a trail evident enough for the keen eye. The painstaking process of genetic genealogy, a modern marvel that should have accelerated the march towards justice, instead unfolded at a glacial pace, hampered by the laborious necessity of sifting through hundreds of familial connections. The heart of the issue lay not in the science itself, but in the systemic inertia that failed to harness its full potential swiftly. In the aftermath, the moral implications of this case continue to ripple outward, questioning societal values and the concept of justice itself. It forces a critical examination of the institutions meant to protect and serve. The prolonged investigation process, marred by its inherent missteps and public miscommunications, left a permanent scar on the public's trust in the judicial system. People questioned the ethical boundaries overstepped in the pursuit of justice, whether the ends justified the means, and at what cost to privacy and individual rights. Families, once bound by the unspoken trust in their community's safety, faced the disconcerting reality that the facades of normalcy could conceal sinister secrets. The revelation of Massimo Bassetti's familial double life, his existence as a hidden offspring, mirrored a darker truth about the lineage and the hidden sins that such bloodlines might carry. It was an unsettling testament to the idea that darkness could be an inherited curse, lurking unbidden within the veins of unsuspecting descendants. Ultimately, the case of Yara Gambarasio is more than just a narrative of crime and justice. It's a reflection of societal flaws and the human propensity to overlook the uncomfortable truths that dwell just below the surface. It calls for a renewal of vigilance, a commitment to not only seek justice for the fallen, but also to amend the systems that allowed such horror to unfold unchecked. In this way, Yara's story, though born of tragedy, becomes a clarion call for change, urging a collective reckoning with the shadows that lie not only in the hearts of individuals, but also within the very fabric of the society that shapes them. The quiet town of Brambada Dopra, with its serene landscapes and historic architecture, now bore the weight of a tragedy that resonated far beyond its borders. The air, once filled with the laughter of children and the rustling of leaves, now seemed heavy with whispers of a story that refused to fade into the past. On evenings when the sun hung low, casting long shadows that danced across cobblestone streets, the haunting memory of Yara's unfulfilled journey lingered. It was as if the town itself had etched her absence into its very being, a somber reminder of the fragility of innocence and the lurking potential for darkness within the human heart. The people of this small community, their lives forever intertwined with the echoes of Yara's story, carried on with a renewed sense of vigilance and a deeper understanding of the complexities of justice and the shadows that can reside within familiar places. The case of Yara Gambarasio, though fraught with sorrow, stood as a testament to the resilience of a society striving to uncover truth and the unwavering determination to protect its most vulnerable members. And as the world watched, captivated by the unfolding drama, it served as a reminder that beneath the veneer of safety and normality, there exists a call to remain ever watchful, lest we overlook the truths hidden in the twilight of our perceptions.